It's Victory in Europe Day, 80 years. It's one of the few things my dad brought home from his all-expense-paid trip to Europe. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for Nebraska's World War II Veteran Recognition Ceremony. We're here today to honor some of Nebraska's living World War II veterans as we continue celebrating 80 years of victory since the end of World War II. Seated in front of me are today's medal recipients, and joining us in the front row, they will be presented their recipients of the World War II Recognition Medal. We have, as of today's ceremony, we have presented over 120 medals to World War II veterans from 50 cities, towns, and villages across our state. Today is not the end of the initiative. We have several presentations lined up this month, and we continue to honor every living World War II veteran in Nebraska. So that's your homework, to make sure when you go home and you know a World War II veteran, make sure we contact the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs. And we're going to do this all the way through 2025 until every World War II veteran is recognized for their service. At this time, please rise if you're able for the presentation of colors and remain standing for the playing of our national anthem, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. And thank you to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln ROTC, led by United States Marine Corps Staff Sergeant Dylan Taylor, for serving as today's color guard. We will now have a laying of the wreath. This initiative is about honoring Nebraska's living World War II veterans and sharing their stories to keep their history alive for future generations. We do, however, want to honor those who served, who could not be with us here today. Over 140,000 Nebraskans served in World War II. Of those, 3,626 made the ultimate sacrifice. Over 700 are still missing and known only unto God. They laid down their lives in defense of not only our nation, but freedom around the globe. Of those who returned, it's estimated that 250 are still with us today in Nebraska. Join us to present a wreath in remembrance to those who have passed, and joining us with us today is some of the great-grandchildren of today's medal recipients. Our future generations carrying on the memory of those who came before, honoring the men and women who fought to ensure their future remained free and prosperous. Thank you to the Robin String Quartet for that rendition of the Navy hymn, Eternal Father Strong to Save. Also played at the funeral of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I also want to thank Dr. John Bailey and Dr. Karen Becker from the University of Nebraska Lincoln Music Department for their help in lining up today's musicians. Thank you. It's now my honor to introduce Major General Craig W. Strong, the Adjutant General of the Nebraska National Guard. General Strong is a native Nebraskan who was born in York and grew up in Silver Creek. He began his military career in 1986 as an enlisted member of the United States Naval Reserve, then joining the Nebraska Army National Guard in 1993. General Strong was appointed as the Adjutant General for the Nebraska National Guard on the 7th of July, 2023. Please join me in welcoming Major General Craig Strong.
Thank you, Director Hilgert. Thank you for the invitation. It's deeply an honor. Governor Pillen, it's always an honor to be sitting by your side, and especially on events like today. But with all due respect, the most honorable gift I have right now is being in this room with these World War II veterans. It's deeply meaningful for me to be here with you today. I'm completely humbled that you're here today, and also the families of these proud veterans. As a student of history, I've long studied the battles of World War II and the services and sacrifices that you, our veterans, have made during the most significant periods in our nation's history. The veterans here today, as well as their families, make a lasting impact around the world that is still being felt today. They faced the forces of fascism. They liberated millions of people from the tyranny of enemy occupation, and they secured victory the world over when the Axis powers held them down. I've been fortunate over the past year to visit many of the European battlefields where so many Americans and Allied service members fought and died during World War II. In particular, I visited the battlefields where the Nebraska's very own 134th Infantry Regiment and 110th Medical Battalion and 110th Quartermaster Company fought against the Germans until victory was achieved in May of 1945. These Nebraska soldiers liberated such towns as St. Lo and Nancy, France. They fought and sacrificed during the battles of Normandy, Mortain, Ardennes, and through the last offensives of the war. And I've had the solemn chance to honor many of those who have made the ultimate sacrifice and now lay peacefully among their comrades in multiple cemeteries in Europe. Please know that those sacrifices of your comrades have not been forgotten. In my recent travels to Normandy and most recently to Pilsen, France and the Czech Republic, and as a matter of fact, I just returned from the Czech Republic to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Pilsen, Bohemia, which is now in present-day Czech Republic, because the state of Nebraska has a relationship with the Czech armed forces. And we were invited to celebrate and commemorate that day. In fact, Nebraska National Guard was invited to 3 cities throughout this last year of the Year of Liberation of Europe, to St. Lo, France in June, to Nancy, France in October, and to Bastogne in December. But it was just on Tuesday when I had the opportunity to witness the liberation, the final liberation of American forces, the furthest eastern approach that our American forces made under George Patton in Bohemia during World War II. And the most highlight of that event was my meeting of 99-year-old veteran Harry Hamilton, who served in George Patton's Third Army. He indicated, "I'm 99, and the last time I laid my eyes on the cathedral here in Pilsen, it was through the eyes of a 19-year-old. It's 80 years later, I've returned." I then approached Harry, and as he sat in his wheelchair, and I rendered him a dignified salute. And as a tear welled up in Mr. Hamilton's eye, he said, "I was only a private." And I said, "You were not just a private, you were a hero. You are a hero upon the greatness that we now sit upon those shoulders. And also you have me on seniority." But it was such an amazing opportunity to meet Mr. Hamlet, and it just epitomizes the humility and the sacrifice of these brave individuals who served to wear our nation's cloth in one of its most turbulent times. These multiple generations at these events, from grateful French citizens gathering to honor those who gave their lives to liberate them from the terrible cruelty of Nazi occupation, to citizens of Belgium, to citizens in the Czech Republic, are so thankful for the red, white, and blue and those Sherman tanks that came down their thoroughfares on Liberation Day for that city. Today, we also continue to honor what your comrades, and your families did during World War II to secure and defend the liberties that we continue to enjoy. You all set the standards for us to follow, for service, for excellence, for duty, for selflessness, what today's current military generation continuously strive to replicate. We just long to never let the honor that you established ever be lowered. So on behalf of the men and women in uniform today, thank you for your service, thank you for your sacrifice, thank you for setting the standards, and thank you for all your families did and are continuing to do, both during the war as well as when that time that you were in uniform. You made a difference in all of our lives, and we are forever, forever grateful. You, indeed, are the greatest generation. Thank you.
Thank you, General Strong. It's certainly a testament to what was accomplished in World War II, literally saving the world. Before I introduce Governor Pillen, I want to share with you a data point. This is Governor Pillen's 15th World War II medal presentation. As busy as he is with the legislature in session, the governor has made this initiative and our veterans a priority. He has hosted and attended World War II events around the state, even presenting medals to veterans at their homes. I'll tell you right now, there's not another state out there that you're going to find a governor that'll do that. Jim Pillen was sworn as Nebraska's 41st governor in 2023 and has been a friend of Nebraska's veterans and their families since taking office. He has allowed our agency to grow and to serve more veterans, and we appreciate his continued support of our mission. Please join me in welcoming Governor Jim Pillen.
Thank you, John. I think first off, really want to give a shout out to John and the whole Department of Veterans Affairs. As I say all the time, in Nebraska, it's the people. And only in Nebraska is this happening. I've had extraordinary privileges being the governor, but I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed right now being in the midst of these men. I have emotions that are really hard for me to describe. I'm thinking about my uncle that I never met. I'm thinking about my grandpa telling my dad, "You've got to stay home, you can't go serve in the war." I'm thinking about the stories that I've heard from your colleagues, that I've heard in the last 6 months, the bravery, the selfless giving, people standing up and saying, I'm accepting this on behalf of all my brothers that didn't come home. I think that hopefully today all of the rest of us can get inspired by the victory of May 8th, 80 years ago, because of your extraordinary sacrifice, your selfless giving, picking up and doing whatever it took to save the United States, to save the planet. So our hearts are just full of extraordinary gratitude. Holy cow. Extraordinary gratitude, and gratitude that you share your stories, and that many aren't very excited about it, but the importance of sharing your stories so that the great grandbabies and that all of us, it stays alive, so that we never, ever forget the extraordinary liberty and freedoms that we have, is without a shadow of a doubt because of these men and the veterans of the United States of America. Do we all agree with that? And I would be remiss if I wouldn't mention, I've had the privilege now on trade missions to Vietnam. Vietnam veterans that are here, you need to know that the Prime Minister, the last day that we were there, the Prime Minister of Vietnam wanted to meet with us. And I told him we selectively chose Vietnam because of what I experienced as a young boy with losing a neighbor and so forth. And his comment was, please tell your friends who are Vietnam veterans, we are the country we are today because of the United States of America, because of the veterans. I've been in South Korea, in Japan, Czech Republic, as the General said, and Germany. Every single meeting on trade missions starts with, thank you to the United States of America, and thank you to the veterans, because without the United States of America and the veterans, who on earth would we be? I hope that touches everybody's hearts here. We can't say thank you enough, because we, the country, are appreciated everywhere we go in the world. So congratulations and thank you for that. I'll just take a couple minutes on Nebraska's World War II contributions. We do, as Nebraskans, as I like to keep saying all the time, we have to get comfortable being uncomfortable bragging a little bit, right? We're also humble, we never brag, we never say anything extraordinary. Needless to say, what these young men have been a part of has been extraordinary. Nebraska didn't just send soldiers. We rolled up our sleeves right here at home in the war. Think about this, in Grand Island, the Cornhusker Army ammunition plant had thousands of Nebraskans that just rolled out and they made bombs, big ones like 2,000 pounders for our troops right here in Grand Island and Hall County. That's a shout out for all those folks, right? Down at previously named Fort Crook, became Offutt Air Force Base because it was named after a young man who lost his life during World War I. The Glen L. Martin bomber plant built over 2,000 B-26s and B-29s, including the Enola Gray, right here in the soils of Nebraska. Is that a shout out or what? I've had the privilege, and needless to say, over 50% of the people that made that happen were women. And I've met a number of ladies who said they were rosy riveters, and they could prove it by the calluses on their hands 80 years later. Pretty cool stuff, right? So let's give it up for rosy riveters. North Platte Canteen, volunteers 55,000 strong, again, mostly women, served whatever, coffee, sandwiches, and smiles to nearly 7 million soldiers as they passed through on a railroad through the heart of America, through Nebraska's heart in North Platte. Again, countless efforts of people giving everything that they had. The Alliance Army Airfield trained air crews and paratroopers. Fort Robinson handled POWs and trained war dogs. Had a lot of horses out there. And the airfields of Ainsworth, Bruning, and Kearney got pilots to fly. Our farmers fed the nation. Places like Lincoln's Mechanic School turned out thousands of fighter plane mechanics. Obviously, lots of families gave it up in the Hastings, Clay County, and Adams County. 15 square miles. If anybody's been out, 15 square miles were turned over to the United States of America, right in the center of the heartland, to build the largest ammunition storage depot on the planet of Earth, right here in Nebraska. I think it's incredibly important that every one of us never forget what the greatest generation, our grandparents, our parents, did to make this the safest place in the world to live. It's really, really extraordinary. I hope everybody has their cells and their bodies moving around like mine is, because holy cow, it's absolutely incredible stuff of what's happened, what these young men have done, and what our ancestors have done here in the state of Nebraska for the greater good, as I say. And met a number of people in Czech Republic last fall, and they have a real tangible sense, because they had to live under communism after World War II until the fall of the wall, and they're still trying to recover because of what was so much liberty was stolen from them. So I think the last thing that's extraordinarily important in these proclamations and what we're doing is just simply the two most important words. On behalf of all Nebraskans and on behalf of all Americans, gigantic thank you. Gigantic thank you to the World War II veterans, to your extraordinary sacrifice, and all that you've done for the greatest place in the world. So on behalf of all of us, a gigantic thank you. We're incredibly grateful. And as governor, I get to do proclamations, which are really cool, but I think this might be the most important one of all, if you'll be with me. Whereas we commemorate the 80th anniversary of the Allies' victory. Excuse me, gosh. In Europe during World War II. And whereas World War II liberated millions of people from oppression and tyranny. And whereas outstanding service performed in the defense of freedom's cause in the time of war is the most notable expression of citizenship possible. And whereas it is vital that we pay tribute to the veterans of World War II who sacrificed dearly for the freedoms of others. And whereas today the sacrifices of these brave World War II heroes inspire a new generation of servicemen and women. Now therefore be I, Jim Pillen, Governor of the extraordinary state of Nebraska, do hereby proclaim the 8th day of May 2025 as Victory in Europe Day in Nebraska, and I do hereby urge all citizens of Nebraska never, ever, ever forget. Congratulations, veterans. think now is the reason why we're here, is to be able to present our veterans with our medallions.
Sure. As General Strong is collecting the medallions, I wanted to describe a little bit about the medallion itself. This is original to Nebraska. This is our own initiative. On the front is the slogan of our initiative, celebrating 80 years of victory. It includes Nebraska's famous sword in front of the state of Nebraska. It's surrounded by the laurel wreath, upright, symbol of triumph. The back side of the medal features the words, "On behalf of a grateful state, thank you for your service." Emblazoned is the personification of victory, standing in front of a 48-star flag. The ribbon design pays homage to the United States military's World War II Victory Medal, which in and itself is a doubling of the pattern of the World War I Victory Medal. At this time, each veteran will receive a certificate, and I will read it once. It says, State of Nebraska, World War II Recognition Program. Governor Jim Pillen and the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs would like to recognize and thank you for your service in the United States Armed Forces during the Second World War. Signed by Jim Pillen, Governor of the State of Nebraska, and myself, Director of the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs. So let us begin. The first recipient is World War II veteran Kenneth Ahrens. The second veteran of World War II is Ray Arnold. Next we have Douglas Baker. Congratulations. Following Douglas, we have William Brown, World War II veteran. Now we have Jack Caldwell. Congratulations. Thank you for your service. And now we have Gerald Lobeda. Thank you for your service. We'll have a few pictures, and then we'll do stage left.
Everybody ready? 1, 2, thank you.
Next. Sir. Next, we'll have Robert Manty. Here we are. Theodore Mills, thank you for your service. And Roger Peters, who taught me about windsurfing. Marvin Schultz. Wayne Steele. Ralph Wagner. And Alfred Zieg.
Thank you.
And we have with us today previous medal recipients in attendance. Thank you for coming to the Victory in Europe celebration. Carl Schratt, Wilbur Rupke, Julius Klemmer, Lee Sanks, and Edward Kreppel. Let's give these veterans and all veterans a great round of applause. Yeah. If you've done the math, we're about halfway point in honoring all of Nebraska's living World War II veterans. Again, please help spread the word. If you know of other family members or neighbors or friends, please direct them to their office at veterans.nebraska.gov/WW2. We'll be hosting a reception in the Capitol Dining Hall on the first floor if you're able to join us. The elevators in each of the 4 columns can accommodate 1 regular wheelchair and 1 or 2 people. There is an accessible elevator in the Northwest Hall. If you need assistance, our friends from the Deborah Avery chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution who volunteered to be here today are here to help. Let's give them a round of applause. And I want to extend one last thank you to the Sheets family and the American Legion Post of Pleasantdale for providing additional wheelchairs for today's ceremony. And I also want to shout out to our communications director, Holden Armstrong, and Madeline Kettler, who always do an outstanding job. You always rise to the occasion. Thank you for organizing. At this time, I would ask those who are able to rise and join with me, render a hand salute for the colors which will remain posted. All rise. 1, 2. Thank you again for everyone who helped make this event possible, to the families and friends who are here with us today, and especially to Nebraska's World War II veterans. This concludes our ceremony. We'll see you downstairs at the reception. Thank you very much.